after my injury, um, well, just I want to say right off the bat, uh, if I was you, I would get a honeycomb. They call it a Stimulite cushion, because that just that's my and that's my uh, big advice. You know, I'm gonna get into a little bit of the history here about it. So if it's just a bunch of blah blah blah. So if you don't want to hear that, you know, that's fine. But Stimulate Honeycomb Cushion seems to be the thing that worked for me. And okay, so here's the history. Why I'm suggesting a Stimulite cushion. Right after my injury, about 22 years ago, um, I was given a wheelchair, or got a wheelchair through my insurance, and I think Cobra Insurance, and I got a J cushion was my cushion, and then that's just a gel cushion, um, and what I did was I was quite religious about my pressure relief lift ups, lifting up in my wheelchair so that I could get the pressure off my bottom. I would probably do that about every 10, 15 minutes, at the most 20 minutes. I wouldn't wait that long. Um, so right from the beginning, I started to pretty much do the pressure relief exercises about every 10 or 15 minutes. Um, I'm a gringo, so I'm white, and so I have my butt is, I have no padding. I don't have any muscle. I don't have anything on my bottom to protect me, any type of cushion whatsoever. So it's pretty much skin, and then a very thin layer of muscle, I don't know, cartilage, things like that, maybe, but then bone, and that's it. So it's just skin, maybe a hair of muscle, but then bone. That's about it. I didn't really have too difficult of a time with having pressure sores probably for the first 10 years, somewhere around there. Um, but I did have pressure sores. I did every once in a while come upon pressure sores. My injury is low, so L1, and so and I have a burning sensation in my bottom 24/7. I've had that for my whole life. I don't care to take drugs for that. Anyway, the burning sensation in my bottom is what kind of reminds me that I need to do pressure relief. I need to lift up. So I had this J cushion with pressure sores intermittently every once in a while. I'm extremely lazy, so I I didn't go out and buy a cushion every couple years, like probably would be good. Um, and I think whenever I got another wheelchair, probably in 4 or 5 years after my initial accident, then I think I pretty much stayed with the same cushion. I used a gel cushion also, a J gel cushion also, next, and but it had 4 quadrants, and that didn't really. I still had pressures. There was still pressure sores that were still coming about from that. Um, so uh, what I did was I finally after about about 10 years, I was putting up my legs to increase the circulation throughout my body. And when I put up my legs while I was at work, while I was doing some work over at the university, then I was putting more pressure on my bottom. And when I did that for a while, having my legs up for, I don't know, many, many months in a row, then I started to get skin breakdown. And I started to smell it. It started to be not so good. And so I thought, well, I've taken care of stuff like this before. I'll do just fine. It's no big deal. I can do it. I can handle it. A buddy of mine, he said, don't ever get skin breakdown. And he had been in a wheelchair for a long time, but I didn't listen to him. So anyway, it started to smell, but I thought that I could get it turned around. So it was just so nasty that I went to the hospital. I went to the University Health Center. And when I went there, then I showed the doctor, I laid on my belly and showed the doctor my breakdown, and she was like, oh, no, this is bad. You're going to be laying down 24/7. You cannot go to school anymore. And it was like, how am I going to go to school? How am I going to get my schoolwork done? But I was able to do it through the internet, so I got that part taken care of. But it was pretty much 24/7, 7 days a week. I had to go home, lay down on my bed. That's all I did, pretty much. Every once in a while, I would get up to go eat, and even less frequently than that, then I would get up and take a shower. These things were not very often. If I didn't do that, then I was going to get. She told me that I was going to have a skin graft, and I wanted to figure out what else I could do so I didn't have to have a skin graft. But that's another story. So anyway, I got it healed up in the back. I took about 3 months of laying down on my belly, 24/7. No fun, no games, no going out, nothing, no going to see the movies or anything like that. But then after that, then I finally got that healed up, and then I got back on my J cushion again, and I started to deal with my J cushion again for I think it was my third or my fourth wheelchair, and I was still using the J cushion, but I was starting to have breakdown again, just like I had for years and years before. And I was thinking, well, my skin is already so thin already from having this, having that breakdown that was so bad that it actually ate part of the muscle. I got to do something else. I figured I got to do something else. So I talked to a wheelchair associate of mine. I've known him for about 10 years, over 10 years. At the time, I had known him for a couple of years, and he works a lot with people in wheelchairs. He's in a wheelchair himself, so he kind of has an idea about what people in wheelchairs go through. In fact, I got one of my wheelchairs through him. I was able to purchase my wheelchair through him, but that went one time. But anyway, he recommended, and he gave me a demo of a Stimulite cushion, like this, right here. the honeycomb Stimulite cushion. And he said, well, it's a demo, but, you know, take it home, give it a try, you know. So I did. I used it. It felt awkward at first. It felt weird. I'm so used to having the J cushions that it just felt weird to have the Stimulite cushion underneath me, the honeycomb cushion underneath me. But then, I started to notice after a while that, well, I wasn't really getting any breakdown. And then, I figured, well, maybe I'll do a little bit less pressure reliefs. I'll push up a little bit less. I won't, instead of every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes, I'll probably do lift up every 20 minutes or every 25 minutes. So I gave that a try, lifting up less frequently. And I did that, and I still didn't have any breakdown. I still didn't have any skin breakdown. Remember, I'm a gringo, so my skin on my bottom is paper thin. It can break down, the skin can break down so easily, and I think one of my doctors said that once you break down skin and then you regrow skin, then it's at 70% of the strength that it was originally. So if I'm a gringo, my skin is already paper thin on my bottom, and then I had this breakdown so that my skin is even thinner, even more weak, and I really don't have that thin layer of muscle protecting me, then what am I going to do? So anyway, he gave me the Stimulite, and months went by, and years went by, and I had no skin breakdown. So I think this is a really good thing. I've had a Stimulite for probably, I would say maybe 10 years now. It was a really good thing that I did. It was at least 5 to 10 years I've had this Stimulite cushion, and I really haven't had any breakdown ever, at all. So I would really, really recommend the Stimulite Honeycomb Cushion. It's a fantastic thing. I don't know if it would cost extra or not to have it, how much extra it would cost, but you have to think about your health and the amount of time that you would spend healing up a wound, or just constantly pushing up and making sure that you are religious about your pressure reliefs. I know pressure reliefs is very important that you always do that anyway, but with a Stimulite, you can relax a little bit. You don't have to do it as often as you might with a J cushion. So go with a Stimulite. That's what I recommend. Use a Stimulite cushion. If I would have had the opportunity to use a Stimulite right off the bat 22 years ago when I had my injury, I should have done that. I really should have done that, because I'm screwed now. My life is, my bottom is compromised, and I can't handle things, and that's why you see me transferring onto a wall here. I put the Stimulite cushion underneath me